Right, it's a Wednesday, the 22nd of November 2023. My apologies for coming a little bit late, but today I've got a short presentation. It's still on Zimbabwe and the SADC. There's been a whole lot of confusion on social media, and of course, against the backdrop of expectation from most Zimbabweans as to how SADC is going to handle Zimbabwe. So that's what I want to discuss, to say what is happening from here. So are there any negotiations happening in the background that we don't know? And if so, what nature of negotiations are there? I know very well that people very much aware of what is happening right now. Let me just play you a clip. Today, the ambassadors, 9 ambassadors from SADC paid a courteous visit to President Emerson Mnangagwa at State House, led by Agostinho da Silva, the ambassador of Angola. And this is what he had to say. Let's just watch this. Just hold on. I'll have to play this right here. All right.
Briefly, what do you think happened inside there, and what is your take?
First of all, we thank the President for receiving us today, despite the President's very, very busy schedule. And we came today as we are 9 countries, SADC countries accredited in Zimbabwe, and we are all here to congratulate the President for the very, very peaceful election, fair, free, and transparent. And we say the President, we came here to reiterate our support to the people of Zimbabwe, to the government of Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe is not alone. We are all one family as a SADC, and Zimbabwe is a member of one of the founders of SADC, part of the frontline SADC countries. So we just came to reiterate our support to the President, to the people of Zimbabwe.
You're going home or to your stations, workstations, happy that what you got from him was okay?
We learn a lot with what the President told us about food security. So we decide to have lessons from the President and to share with our countries how Zimbabwe survived after a very long period of illegal sanctions imposed to Zimbabwe, to the people of Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe, the people of Zimbabwe demonstrate resilience, and we learn a lot with Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That is Agostinho da Silva. That is Agostinho da Silva. That is the chairman of the ambassadors that visited President Emerson Mnangagwa. And there he is seen congratulating President Emerson Mnangagwa. And if you ask me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But there can only be one explanation why these ambassadors are expressing what they, I mean, a so-called solidarity with Zimbabwe, with President Mnangagwa. That explanation is that historically, when SADC deals with countries, and particularly with Zimbabwe, they have employed what we call quiet diplomacy. Quiet diplomacy is an approach in which there is suppression of information whenever there is a negotiation in the background. There is suppression of information to know whether it has started. Let's even talk about the 2008 negotiation. When it started, that is the very time when President Mbeki was coming to Zimbabwe, or came to Zimbabwe rather, and announced that there was no crisis in Zimbabwe. But that was at the height of a serious crisis where 300 people, 300 activists from the MDC were butchered, dead. But Thabo Mbeki came in Zimbabwe and said there's no crisis. This is a time when for almost a month, the Electoral Commission at that time held on to the results, presidential results, which by all intents and purposes was a crisis. But Thabo Mbeki came out to say there is no crisis. In fact, at that stage, we saw President Mbeki and President Mugabe flew together to Egypt, to Al Sham Sheikh, if I get it right, for a SADC conference there. And of course, it dampened the spirits of most Zimbabweans. We expected that SADC was going to do something, that South Africa was going to make an intervention to correct the issue. Right. It was in the midst of ZANU-PF brutality. The same brutality we are seeing today. Recently, we have seen several of the CCC activists abducted. We have Takudzwa Ngadziore was abducted, and luckily he survived and he was dumped. We saw other activists being abducted. Honorable Chidakwa was abducted and left for dead. Recently, we had Bishop Masaya and another colleague. They were abducted. Unfortunately, Bishop Masaya lost his life. The height of crisis, the same as we were at in 2008. And today we have the SADC ambassadors coming and releasing such a statement that there is, they are coming in solidarity with Zimbabwe. That he even goes on to say that we congratulate them for a credible election, for a free election, transparent election, totally against what the SADC Electoral Observer Mission report says. Stuck, different. And then one wonders, why are these people crazy? Are they mad that they can say that? They can go against their own statement. Now, this is exactly where I come in to say there is definitely something happening in the background in terms of quiet diplomacy. My theory is that there is definitely negotiations that are happening, and they are at their very delicate and early stages. And there is no doubt that we are headed towards those two options that I have always talked about: a rerun of the election or a government of national unity. And there is another remote possibility of a transitional authority that is being discussed. Obviously, SADC cannot come out at this stage because of the delicacy of the matter to pronounce on what is happening. They will be ducking and diving, and there will be production of such reports. But at a certain stage, at an advanced stage, we'll get to know. We now know that there are rumors going on that Advocate Chamisa might have met whether emissaries of ZANU-PF or President ED himself. These are still rumors. But in Zimbabwe, I'll tell you, there is no smoke without fire. We have always known what is happening through these rumors. Trust me on that. And there is no smoke without fire. Those rumors that they might have met. And what we will see is that we will not get information from both sides. We will not get information from both sides. And at this stage, the negotiations are only restricted to few people in the inner circles of both ZANU-PF and the CCC. That is what is going on, according to my theory. There is no way SADC can receive and adopt a report which casts a doubt on the credibility, transparency of the Zimbabwean election, which literally judges that election as a sham, and on one hand come to express solidarity. Because if SADC was to leave the Zimbabwe issue unresolved as it is right now, they would have failed. They would have created a bad precedent. They would have taken the democratic struggle aback. There is no doubt about that. But there is no doubt that we are in an era where the liberation movements turned dictators, particularly ZANU-PF, are being challenged. ZANU-PF, by virtue of them being at the forefront of creating SADC itself, is viewed as a bully. And we have seen how the Harare government, together with ZANU-PF, have dealt with SADC, the observer mission, how they have dealt with them, how they have dealt even, hand-picked or cherry-picked SADC heads of state for vitriol, such as President Hakainde Hichilema has been attacked left, right, and center by ZANU-PF and government officials. And we have seen SADC rebuking them. We have seen Nevas Mumba being attacked left, right, and center by ZANU-PF, basically expressing a bully approach. And it is up to SADC to say, are they going to be docile to ZANU-PF's bullying? They've experienced it under President Mugabe. But the current bullying knows no bounds. But like I was saying, liberation movements are being challenged, and particularly the most sophisticated liberation movement, which has turned dictatorial, ZANU-PF, I think is the last bastion. We have seen change happening in Zambia. We have seen change happening in Kenya, in Malawi, in Lesotho, in Liberia, and many others. And those countries have sort of taken a modicum of stability, a modicum of democracy, of change, unlike in Zimbabwe. And let's not forget that in 2017 rather, in this same month, President Mugabe was deposed from power via a coup. And SADC is not blind to that. And that was a precedent set. And with what is happening, if SADC does not step up, there is definitely going to be instability, because they understand that Zimbabwe is fragile right now. What is happening in Zimbabwe, the recalls, honestly, SADC cannot be paying a blind eye to it. Where a street man basically steals a party. This is political identity theft, if you like, being abetted by the state, and SADC can keep quiet to that? I guess not. Chabangu's letters have no legitimate claim whatsoever to the leadership of the CCC. But the judiciary, obviously under pressure, it could be financial pressure, it could be the patronage system that we know has always pervaded Zimbabwe. Of course, fear-mongering that is initiated by ZANU-PF. And then we see the judiciary playing puerile games. At this stage, one would think that our judiciary should be building credible jurisprudence in this country. But what is happening? They are involved in child's play, where a letter is just written by someone known very well that he is not part of the leadership of the CCC. ZANU-PF's Jacob Mdenda, who is the speaker, doesn't waste time to accept the letter. The president of a whole country doesn't take time to declare elections, by-elections. Obviously, this SADC cannot be blind to this. This is what I can call a festival of lawlessness, a festival of illegalities, a festival of unconstitutionalism that is happening in Zimbabwe. And of course, it began with the Second Republic. And SADC cannot play blind. So that's why I'm saying there definitely is negotiation going on behind the scenes, and we will soon be aware of it. We know that the panel of elders was supposed to come to Zimbabwe, and because President Mnangagwa traveled out of the country, they could not come. We know that the subcommittee of SADC, which include presidents, some presidents of SADC, were supposed to come by the 19th, but because of the absence of President Mnangagwa, they could not come. No wonder why you heard in his statement, Agostinho da Silva, mentioning that in his busy schedule, he has allowed us to see him. This is how ZANU-PF plays its games. They play hardball. That is exactly what happened at the Lancaster House. They played hardball. Right when people were at Lancaster, between 1978 and 1980, President Mugabe came out to say they would not put down arms. In fact, the liberation struggle became very hot at that time. And that diverted people from the negotiations that were happening. But those negotiations were going on such that by April 1980, the ZAPU camps, the Zandla camps were told to lay down their arms because an agreement had been reached. That's how they operate. If you come to 1987, right at the height of ZANU-PF committing Gukurahundi atrocities from 1983 up till 1987, right where it was hot, right where ZANU-PF looked like a berserk animal, we woke up to hear that an agreement had been reached between ZANU-PF and ZAPU, led by Father Zimbabwe Joshua Mqabuko. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened, like I said, in 2008, when ZANU-PF went berserk, butchering MDC activists. Then we woke up to the GPA, Global Political Agreement, in which culminated into the Government of National Unity. If you look at that history, everything that is happening today has got all the aspects of how ZANU-PF operates, how ZANU-PF deals with opposition. But at this stage, it is now up to CCC to learn from history what kind of an agreement they are going to get into. Because the nature of such secret negotiations, such secret agreements is that there is no input from various stakeholders to improve the nature of such an agreement. And therefore, an agreement that normally comes out favors one party over the other. So that is the danger of the negotiation that is happening currently, because of the secretive nature of it. And it is happening. Folks, a negotiation is happening behind the scenes. But its nature is that it is secretive, and its outcome is likely to be a repetition of history, where ZANU-PF comes out with better exploits. But we want to trust that Advocate Nelson Chamisa and the team are on top of the game. And as we go on, as we watch the unfolding events, we will be here to update you on the nature of the negotiations, on the nature of the agreement that is likely to come out. So Zimbabweans, don't lose hope. This is it. This is where we are. Forget about these ambassadors coming out expressing solidarity, because it doesn't make sense. Their own report rubbished that election, and there is no way they can come and pretend that it was a credible election, it was a transparent election, and congratulate the people of Zimbabwe. Of course, we agree with them by congratulating the resilience of Zimbabweans against all odds, against a starkly arrogant state and officials. Zimbabweans remain peaceful. Zimbabweans remain committed to a peaceful resolution of an obvious dispute. Zimbabweans are being tested and tried left, right, and center. The public administrators in Harare are pushing people to the corner. But yes, Sadiq is right to say we congratulate the resilience of Zimbabweans. The resilience of Zimbabweans, that even if they are forced into what they do not want, they choose peace rather than chaos. So this is a short presentation I had, and I will be coming with updates. And definitely we are now in the middle of negotiations that are happening. But because by their secret nature, we may not have enough information as to what is happening. But people, hold your breaths, and in due course we will be bringing you some updates on what is happening. Thank you very much, and it's a very good night from me. Thank you.
Uyo uko kuno abo